with a video for the first time in a little while, and it's lovely to have something to share with you. I thought I would share a week in my One Good Thing journal. I actually filmed this back in March, you can see if you look at the date there. So it's been ready to go for a while, but I just hadn't finished getting it ready, doing voiceover and, getting it ready to post. So here it is. On a Monday, I like to set the pages up to an extent. Most of the time, I don't always do this, but I often do. I'll put a bit of washi around the page, some stickers or other decorative elements. Sometimes I draw or paint pictures of my own, but more often than not, it's stickers and washi and things like that. This is a nice way to kind of enjoy some of the pretty bits of stationery that I've accumulated. This is one of the ways I really like to use my stickers and things, so that's often what I'll do. And yeah, so on the first day of the week, or sometimes on Sunday evening, I will sit down and sort of get started on the upcoming week's spread. And I do that for a couple of reasons, partly to sort of set the tone and the vibe for the thing, which is just helpful in getting it done, and partly to make the spread a little bit less intimidating isn't the word, but how when it's the fear of the blank page thing, you kind of, you see all that white expanse and you go, oh no, I can't fill this with words. And if I've already put some things on it, that makes it a little bit easier to come at on the days when it's hard. So this is one of those things that, this journal is one of those things that I know is really good for me. And because of that, I have a contrary part of my brain that actively avoids it when I need it the most. I know that some of you will relate to that, and some of you will probably be like, well, why would you do that? That's stupid. But yeah, if you get it, you get it. It's not necessarily, it makes it sound like more of a conscious, active decision than it is. But yeah, when you are feeling particularly low, sometimes doing the things that are helpful, it's the most impossible and the hardest thing. So there are many blank spreads in this journal this year, and that's just what it is. And I still have to just keep coming back to it as and when I can, because that's the best that I can do. And yeah. So yeah, to get myself started, I will put some things in that I find interesting or pretty or beautiful or whatever, and it helps to draw me in. It helps to break the ice, to use a tired phrase, and it just gets me started on the thing. And so this is, I know that it looks like a gratitude journal, but in my mind, there's an important difference, because it's not necessarily about gratitude. For me, it's about noticing the things that are good. And I know that may sound like the same thing, and if it does, and that's the same for you, then that's fine. But for me, there's an important difference. I'm not writing about things that I feel grateful for. I'm just writing one good thing that I noticed each day. And sometimes those are really big things. It can be a whole person, or a special event, or, something enormous happening politically in the world. Like it could be, what's the word I'm looking for? Momentous. But it can also be something really tiny and simple, like something delicious that you tasted, or a flower that you saw, or a little thing that somebody did that made you smile, or it doesn't have to be, scale doesn't come into it. It's just something good. And it doesn't even have to be unique and different every time. Like sometimes I will write the same thing in multiple weeks, like a TV show that I'm really enjoying that comes out once a week. It will be that thing on Thursday for weeks in a row, because that's the best thing on that day, and that's fine too. It's not about originality. It's not about, scale or anything like that. It's just about training your attention onto things that are good, which is something that I desperately need to do at the moment. And that's the purpose of this journal. So now that I've put a few things in and gotten started, I'm actually starting to feel it in for each day of the week. So you can see in the journal that I use for this, it's a Hobonichi Weeks. You do not have to use this kind of journal for this kind of thing. You could use like bits of scrap paper that you've stapled together. It's not about how it looks. It's about what it's for. And obviously for me, how it looks is part of how I engage with it. Like, it helps to draw me in, but it's not the purpose of the thing, right? So yeah, in the Hobonichi Weeks, it's got like, on the left-hand side of the page, you can see it's got the dated sections for that week. And on the other side of the page, it's got a plain grid. And that means that I can write something in for every day, but I can also like expand on that on the other side or add an additional thing. Because, you know, once you start looking, even on really awful days, there's usually more than one good thing in your day, right? And sometimes I do want to write down more than one. And so I just do that on the facing page. Like, I just fill it until it's full. And that's a really lovely practice as well. So I was writing that on this day. It was technically autumn. And I love autumn. I love, you know, anything that means the weather is cooling down, because I find summer really, I was just not built for Australian summers, and I find it really difficult. So once I know that the weather is going to start cooling down, I'm always really happy. And that's what I wrote as my happy thing for that day, even though it wasn't cooling down, but I knew it was going to. And then once I start writing in things for each day, I will start adding in more little decorative elements that fit in with the ones that I started out with at the beginning of the week to fill in the little gaps between the writing. And those two things start to sort of interact with each other in a reasonably organic way. I will generally choose 2 to 3 pens that sort of work with the colours that I want to go with and things like that. And they will also sort of provide a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Structure, I guess, to the way that I'm writing. I will often have like a gel pen and a brush pen and sort of mix up the style of the handwriting that I'm doing. I'll do some brush lettering and, you know, a bit of a mix, because I like the way that looks. So that's what you can see me doing here. Annoyingly, I started writing with this brush pen, which is a dark brown. It's actually really beautiful, but the tip of it is really a lot softer and squishier than the ones that I'm used to working with. So my lettering got pretty awkward and messy here, which was frustrating, but not the end of the world, because again, the way that it looks isn't the point, it's what you're writing. So I'm just trying to make that work there. So I've got a mixture of colours and sizes of text, and that is pleasing to me. And I'm making them fit in around what's already there. So on Wednesday, my good thing was that Artie was feeling unwell in the morning, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be a hard day for them. They're going to feel awful, and it's going to just be a sick day, you know, and that sucks for everybody involved. You know, I always, whenever Artie's sick, all I can think about is how to make them, you know, more comfortable and how I can help them feel better. And I was like, okay, that's going to be the day, and that's how that goes. And then they actually pulled up reasonably quickly from it. Like, they were sort of like quite acutely unwell, and then they were fine. And so that was my good thing that day, the fact that things weren't as bad as I thought they might be. And so yeah, it's not always about like a kind of a good thing happening. Sometimes it's about, you know, thinking something's going to be bad and finding that it's not. So I've got this beautiful washi tape that I absolutely love. It's got paper on the back, so you can cut it out and they end up being like washi stickers. Like, you can use it as a big wide strip as well, but I generally use it as a fussy cutting sort of decorative element, which I really love. And you can tell that I'm excited about the technical autumn, because I'm going for berries and browns and sort of warm greens and things like that, because that's the autumnal vibe that I'm feeling. And yeah, I'm continuing to stick decorative bits and pieces in around where the words have gone, and those things continue to sort of organically build around each other as I build the page. So for Thursday, I can't remember what I wrote because this was March and we are now currently in May. But I'm sure I'll remember once I get a little look at it. I've actually used 4 different pens for this. It's more than usual. But I obviously wanted to add a bit of a lighter colour, so I used that really nice kind of warm green there, which I actually really like. So I'm glad I did that. So I'm just continuing to write. As you can see, some days I will write like something comparatively wordy that needs a bunch of explanation, and sometimes it'll be something that literally is just like one word. Like I'll write Percy because Percy was just a joy that day, or Percy gave me cuddles when I really needed them, and that is also something that gets mixed up as and when it needs to, and that's also something that I really like about this kind of journaling. There's no exact method or structure to it that you have to stick to. Like I know with some forms of journaling it feels that way, but this is one that can very much go by what's needed at the time or what you have in you at the time, which is, again, when it's something that you're doing for your mental health is really important, because sometimes we've got more in us than other times, and I will be fully honest, there are quite a lot of blank weeks in this journal this year. I have been having real trouble doing it. I always feel better when I do, and I always try and give myself the sort of encouragement of being like, look, anything that you write in here is good. It doesn't all have to be a finished page. It wasn't a waste if you didn't do every day. It's always a good thing to just come to it and do as much as you can, and that's very much where I am living right now. Here on the Friday I wrote that when you follow through on the thought to text a friend and then you actually do end up, chatting and having a bit of a laugh and that kind of thing. I had been texting with my friend Nick that day, and it was just really nice to feel connected to a friend. And so that was the good thing. And that's a really big thing, right? Like that sense of connection. And when I now look back at that page, I can remind myself that, hey, that is actually a really helpful, good thing to do when you're feeling really low. And so this journal kind of serves as a reminder sometimes, or like a little list of gentle suggestions of things that worked in the past to get you out of, a bad headspace, or, to just brighten a day. So I can look back on this now and go, oh, that's right. When I text my friends and say hi, it usually makes me feel loved and connected. So maybe I should do that today, sort of thing. So it becomes not only a record of what has been great or helpful or positive, but a bit of a suggestion book for moving forward. And I think in that sense, it's also really valuable. So once I get to sort of closer to the weekend, I get a bit more of a sense of how much space I'm likely to have left, in this particular spread. Sometimes I've already filled up the facing page, like the blank page, by, Friday, and other days there's a fair bit more blank space, and sometimes that's because it has been a tough week, and sometimes it's just because I've been busy and haven't, there's all kinds of reasons why it might not be as full as other times. So by Friday, I will probably start putting in a few more stickers and things like that to fill in that space. And it also gives me an opportunity to reflect on the week as well, because I'll sometimes then write in things that had happened on previous days, but that I hadn't written in yet. So that's another sort of checkpoint, I guess, in my week that can be really nice. And then we get to the weekend, which is basically just finishing things up. And the weekend is often really full of good things, because that's when my family's home. That's when, I'm more likely to see friends or to go and do something different and interesting, like go see a play or, go see my kid play netball or something like that. And those things are, reliably excellent. So there's I don't have trouble usually filling in the weekend days. And yeah, there's always something good. On this particular week, I had a sleepover with one of their best friends, and that was really nice. The lockdowns of the pandemic are not far enough in history, like far enough back in time, that I'm still not super grateful for those times that my kid gets to hang out with friends. It still feels really lucky and special, and not something I want to take for granted ever. So that's sort of what I was thinking about as I was writing that in there. And here I am writing about Sam Kerr, who is a football player here in she's on the Australian soccer team, the Matildas, and this was a week where there was some controversy and around her, which we were all a bit concerned about until the details came out, and it was clear that she was in fact as big of a legend as we all always believed her to be. So that definitely had to go in there as well. She's an icon, and we love her. So yeah, I'm just writing a bit about that. So again, what you write in these journals can be personal and things that are happening in your life, but they can also be things that happen in the wider world as well. Cool stuff that you've seen other people doing has just as much power to make you happy or make you believe in the good in the world as, the little things in your own life. And I think sometimes it can be helpful to turn your attention out rather than in, even in your journal, which, often ends up being quite introspective. At least mine does. So that can be a good thing as well. And so here we are on Sunday, and I'm just putting in the last bits and pieces. You can see here that because I put a big sticker on the bottom of the page, I'm actually putting Sunday's one good thing. It's actually starting in the section that is technically Saturday. I do not care about this. It's very obvious, that these things are separate things. I've written them in different colours, in different fonts. Is it fonts when it's your writing? I don't think it is. Different styles, I guess. It doesn't matter. And also it's my personal journal. It's not like anyone is going to care. But yeah, so I've started it there, and the details are going to go down underneath onto the Sunday section, and that's how that's going to fit. And that's kind of just the way that this style works for me, just sticking things on and working things into the spaces. And sometimes the structure of the page also makes me look for more good things to write. Once I get to the end of the week, if I've still got space left over, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I don't want to leave this blank. I better cast my mind back and try and think of some more things. And it makes you, again, reflect in a way that draws your attention to good stuff. And that is also something that is really positive for me, very helpful. Because, it's easy to overgeneralize, I think, sometimes when you are thinking about your world and yourself and your life, and to go, I am feeling, negative today, therefore everything is negative. And then you sort of adopt that mindset, and it becomes this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But I don't want this to sound like if you just change your mindset, everything will be fine, because I know it's not that simple. And I also don't want to sound like I'm somebody who has all the answers, because I absolutely do not. I have no answers at all. But I do know that tendency to overgeneralize is really easy, and a journal like this is helpful for me in kind of countering that tendency, right? Like, I can go, I'm feeling bad today, therefore everything is bad. But then I can look at this journal and go, but here is some evidence, like some actual tangible evidence that I have made lists of and taken the trouble to write down that shows that this thought that I am having, while it feels real, isn't objectively true. And I think that is more valuable than I really know how to express in my experience. And of course, your mileage may vary, and this is not about giving advice or anything like that. It's just reporting my experience, and that's what that is. So yeah, I'm looking for positive things at this point, and going, what other funny, cute, interesting things happened this week that I can just, use to fill in these little gaps on my page. And it's a shift in that mindset. It's a shift in that thinking to looking for good, and that's always good. Like when Percy wears a hat. We have some funny little hats for Percy. Not many, but a couple. And when we put them on her, it's just so funny. It's just one of those, it's an unalloyed good. She's just such a little doofus, and she's got a hat and it's got little pointy spots for her ears to get tucked into. And how can you not be delighted by that? So that may not have ranked a mention on the day, but it's something that I looked back on and went, that was hilarious. And I'll just write that in that little spot. So I've cut out a few more bits and pieces from the washi tapes that I used during the week, some smaller bits, and I'm just using those to fill in some final spots so the page feels complete, because that's always really satisfying. Again, if you were to flick through this journal, you would find many blank pages, and you would also find pages that I started but didn't finish. They don't all look like this, but some of them do, and when they do, it feels really good. So I do like to sort of fill in these little spots and make it feel done. And yeah, it's always great to look back on these pages and go, hey, yeah, let's do that again, because that was great. I liked that. So yeah, I'll fill in with some stickers, and then I'll fill in with some little other little bits and pieces this week. As you can see, I'm drawing like little stars and sparkles. Sometimes I will use like a watercolor to add some sort of gentle painty spots to fill in sections. There's all kinds of ways to do it. This is just what I happen to do on this particular week, and that's what it looks like. So for 1 week, I managed to gather all kinds of cool stuff here on this page, and I'm really glad I did, because now that they're written down, they're there forever, and I can come back and look at them and go, hey, look how good all this is. Yay. And the process of doing it felt good too, and I think that is also something you can't understate. So yeah, if you found this interesting or helpful or whatever else, I'm very glad about that. If you would like to see more like this, let me know. If it's too cheesy and self-indulgent, I totally get it, but I'm happy to make more of these if it's what you're interested in. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.